Welcome back to all my subscribers and to my non-subscribers, or if you're new to this channel, then let me introduce myself. My name is Billy and I've been living in my van permanently for 3 years and off and on for 2 years prior to that. In this video, I'm going to go over my experience over the last 5 years, my experience with this van especially, and also the experience with the new boat I purchased. I am not sponsored by anyone, so any product that you see in this video is something that I bought because that's the product I wanted to use. Van life for me has been absolutely awesome. I've been to lots and lots of different and beautiful places all around Australia, and I've met lots and lots of different types of people, which is just awesome. Hopefully this video will give you an insight into van life, plus my experience with the Volkswagen Crafter product and also the Quintrex boat product. There are also lots of things that I use on that boat, so I'll show you those in detail as well. So go grab yourself a coffee or a drink, settle into that armchair and enjoy the video. Let's go. I won't be going into a full van tour in this episode because I've already made that video, but I will, however, link it for those who want to see it. First up is the purchase of the van. Basically, I was considering only two manufacturers, Mercedes and obviously Volkswagen. Prior to buying in this van, I previously owned a Volkswagen multivan, and I guess that somewhat influenced my decision. I had no problems with that multivan whatsoever. The specifications on the Mercedes Sprinter and the Volkswagen Crafter are very similar. In fact, prior to 2017, those vans were identical. Volkswagen licensed the product from Mercedes and put their own badges on it. From 2018 onwards, the Volkswagen Crafter is totally a Volkswagen product. Now, given that both vans are extremely similar, for me it really came down to the price, which was $20,000 difference. I know, right? $20,000 is a lot of money, which I can put towards my adventures. So that was basically it. I bought the van, and then upon delivery, I got a huge shock because the floor height on the 4Motion model is 100 mil higher than the front wheel drive model, which I inspected prior to buying. No real biggie. I've just got to bend my head a little bit to fit inside the van, but yeah, all good. Most four-wheel drives have a high range and low range gearbox, but the Volkswagen Crafter has an 8-speed gearbox, which I think makes up for that. Also, most four-wheel drives have locking front hubs, which means you have to get out and lock the hubs for those front wheels to engage into four-wheel drive. The Volkswagen Crafter has a 4Motion system, which means that it's mostly a front-wheel drive, and an electronic solenoid locks the rear diff, which engages four-wheel drive. Now that is completely automatic, so you don't have to do a thing. It makes driving on different surfaces at different times a breeze. I've taken this van to some pretty crazy places where the dirt roads have corrugation this high, and also to places where there have been no roads, where you got to make your own road. And I've driven on so many beaches I've lost count. The only thing I've really had to do is adjust the tire pressures, which I've made really easy by installing an air compressor under the bonnet. In fact, on one occasion, I was in convoy with a group of V8 Land Cruisers, and two of the V8 Land Cruisers became bogged in some very soft sand, where this van drove straight over it, like it was nothing. In the 5 years I've owned this van, I've done 120,000 kilometers. I've replaced the brake pads twice, the front discs once, and also the rear pads once. I've changed the oil and oil filter around each 15,000 kilometers. I've also not had any major problems with this van. I've had 2 oil leaks around the sump and one around the turbo, but they were quite minor, and Volkswagen fixed them up very promptly. So in my opinion, the Volkswagen Crafter 4Motion is an awesome van for van life, and I would recommend that everyone go out and buy one right now. As for the boat, it is a 2023 Quintrex 520 Ocean Spirit. Now, I did a lot of research when I was looking for boats, and this boat was exactly the right size I needed. The boat was supplied with a Garmin sounder and GPS plotter, but it didn't come with a spare tire or mount. Now, I find that absolutely crazy that you buy a boat package and they don't give you the spare wheel. The boat was also supplied with a transport cover, but in fact it failed on the highway and just ripped to pieces. I had to buy another cover, which was a lot smaller. By law, and every new boat purchase, the dealer has to supply you with a safety package. Now that package includes life jackets, EPIRB, fire extinguisher, ropes, anchors, that sort of stuff. But I can tell you, the stuff that I was provided with was complete rubbish, and you have to spend money to buy the proper gear. I am extremely disappointed about the anchor and ropes that I was supplied with. I had to spend another $500 to $600 on ropes and anchors that would hold the boat. The ones supplied with the boat were absolute garbage and wouldn't hold it in 10-knot winds. All in all, I had to pay out another $2,000 to get the proper gear for that boat. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the boat. I've been enjoying it. I've been going out to lots and lots of cool places, but it would have been good if I'd known about those things at the time of purchase. So my advice to anyone buying a new boat, inspect all the safety gear that comes with the boat prior to making a decision. I opted for the maximum horsepower on this boat, which is 115, and she does a top speed of 60 kilometers an hour. Now, I don't always do 60 kilometers an hour. I'm always around 30 to 40. I mostly use this boat for island hopping, spearfishing, and trolling for pelagics. I did a lot of research on coolers, and I purchased a large Engel ice box. And all I've done with this ice box is I've added a small little container for my food, which keeps the fish and the food separate. When it comes to rod fishing, I keep 3 rods on the boat, 2 egg beaters and an overhead. All the reels are Penn reels, and the rods are split between Shimano and Ugly Stick. My preference for spear guns is Rife. I like the product, I researched it a lot, and I think that this is a product that's very, very durable and high quality. Basically, I run 2 guns, one for up to 20 kilos and the second one for 20 kilos plus. Each of those guns has its own float system, the larger gun using a 3 atmosphere float. Whenever I island hop, I either camp on the islands with my tent or I sleep on the boat, which is really, really comfortable. The only problem, it doesn't have an insect screen, so if you're moored too close to the islands, you're gonna get stung by midges, and I hate those things. I always carry 20 liters of water when I'm on the boat because you never know what's going to happen. I don't think that carrying a small drink bottle is way near enough. The only downside to towing a boat in van life is you don't always have somewhere to park, and you just can't go anywhere that you want. In order to do that, you have to unhitch the trailer and leave the boat somewhere safe, preferably somewhere in storage, and storage is not always available. So generally now is I pre-plan the next destination before I finish from the first, and that way I'm just going from one place to the next place with nothing in between. Where previously before I would go to an area and then explore that whole area. Now I don't have that luxury, but I do have a boat. I live this kind of life because I want to be off-grid and self-sustainable as much as possible. In far north Queensland, there are literally coconut trees everywhere. There are jackfruit trees in some locations. You can find avocados and mango trees that grow completely in the wild. Alright guys, that is it for this episode. Thanks again to my subscribers. I love you all. Peace, be safe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye for now.